Folks, get ready. Foreclosures are spiking again. In fact, foreclosures have risen for 6 straight months. They are now up 18% year on year. But here's the deal, folks. At this channel, one rental at a time, there are two things that can be true. One, foreclosures can be rising. And two, it is not a big deal. Why do I say that? First and foremost, we need to realize that the housing market was not processing foreclosures for the better part of 2.5 to, quite frankly, 3.5 years. Now, unfortunately, during that period of 2.5 to 3.5 years, there were deals, there were people where unfortunate circumstances happened, and frankly, they should have been foreclosed on a year ago. Foreclosure is just part of the deal. Sometimes bad things happen, unfortunate circumstances, and the debt needs to be discharged. The house needs to be taken back by the lender. Bingo, bango, everybody moves on with their life. But when you don't do that for, let's call it 4 years, you build this pressure in the system. And undoubtedly, foreclosures will continue to rise. In fact, folks, it would not surprise me if foreclosures increased every month for the next 12 to, quite frankly, 18 months. This stuff is junk. It is going to be processed and eventually lead to a foreclosure. Now, what do we do with this information? Well, first and foremost, if you are an investor and you have systems like PropStream or PropertyRadar, I would start immediately tracking NODs, notice of defaults, because inside NODs, there will be deals. And if you can get there and help somebody not go through foreclosure, that would be a good thing. Second, if you are a real estate agent, I would start brushing up on short sales and foreclosures because they are coming. Again, this is the time for investors to do deals, solve problems, and just keep moving forward. So yes, folks, it is true. Expect the doomers to ring the bell one more time about foreclosures. Let's be clear. This is not 2008. In 2008, we were processing somewhere between 200 and 250,000 foreclosures a month. And today we're something like 28,000. So it's not even close. But that said, there's still deals to be had. You and I are investors, and I think foreclosures will provide great deals for some of us. So again, folks, keep doing the work. Again, if you have PropertyRadar or PropStream already, I would create another search for NODs because they are coming. Interesting survey from Redfin. Redfin did a survey in the last week or so and said that 17% of Americans, 17, are delaying major purchases. A major purchase defined as a car or a home. So we have basically 1 in 5 Americans going, hey, I am out of the market. Number two, 7%, or about 1 in 12, have simply canceled plans for a major purchase. And then finally, folks, 65% of the people go, who cares? Government shuts down all the time. No change in our behavior. The reason this is important, folks, because again, if you have 7% delayed, 7 canceled, that is almost 25% of consumers. That is enough. That is absolutely enough to pull us into a recession if this shutdown lasts a long time. Of course, none of us hope this shutdown lasts a long time, but if it does, remember, the record for the longest shutdown did happen in President Trump's first term. It was 35 days. Again, I think October 15th or a week from today is a big day. That is the first time we are going to ask our armed services to miss a paycheck. So my hope is that adds extreme incentive to our politicians to get a clean CR passed, and we can get on with our business of running the country. But hey, crazier things have happened. New York Fed came out with a survey that is highlighting inflation expectations are rising. They had been falling for quite some time. They are now once again rising. They rose from 3.2% to 3.4%. Again, consumer behavior can change based on inflation expectations. You have heard many a Fed president say inflation expectations are anchored. Well, they might not be able to say that much longer. So again, folks, watch this stuff. Again, also in the New York Fed, not surprising, but again, rising concern in the job market, folks. The job market is not healthy. We have seen small and medium-sized businesses 0 to or 1 to 50 or 1 to 49, technically 50 to 499, really taking on the chin, really shrinking. These are the folks that can't get loans, right? They can't. The cost of capital is just too high. It's only the big boys that are growing, and that is not good for the economy. Bank of England put out a survey that I think is absolutely right. Actually, not a survey, an article, an opinion piece that basically said the perceived, underline that word, perceived loss of Fed independence will lead to a sharp repricing in U.S. dollar assets. Said another way, if the Fed's independence is perceived to be lost, the bond vigilantes will go nuts, and there will be some immediate and frankly violent repricing of U.S. dollar assets. That is something none of us want. I don't know about you, but one question I was asking myself, and admittedly, I did not know the answer, so I went out and got it for you. What is the impact on the government shutdown for residential properties and commercial real estate? Again, I had my thoughts, my ideas, but I did not know, so I did some digging, some Google and Chat GPT searches, and this is what I found out. Number one, the federal insurance program for floods is not issuing new policies. What does that mean? Well, it means if your lender requires flood insurance, your deal will not close. Simply will not close. Also, it is possible that FHA is either A, slowing down or possibly suspending mortgage processing. So again, if you are relying on FHA, VA, any government-backed mortgage, it is possible that their, let's just say, turnaround time expectations will be blown out because of the government shutdown. So again, the points of the article were in the residential market, the impacts will be almost immediate, right? You can't close without flood insurance. Stop. FHA, VA loans slowing down, if not stopping altogether. But what about commercial? Commercial was a more around the fence journey, but possibly even more important or more impactful. Commercial backed loans, folks, if you don't know, generally speaking, are variable. They are generally variable, and they have a risk premium over what they call SOFR, right? Basically a base rate of debt. And what is happening with the lack of government data and the potential issues or unknown length of the shutdown, we are seeing risk premiums explode. And in some cases, some lenders may decide not to participate. Again, this is based on how long the shutdown goes. If it lasts the average of 8 days, which, oh, by the way, today is day 8 by my calculation. Again, we are past the average if we get through today. We are going to start to see commercial loans, either A, the risk premium blowout, which means deals don't get done, or 2, lenders leave the market. So again, there will be an impact. It will be harder to obtain and close deals in the commercial sector. Never forget, we do have 6 Fed speeches today. I'm sure we'll be talking about many of them tomorrow. I did get some summaries from Moran, Kashkari, and Bostic yesterday. We'll go to Bostic first. He says that the turbulence is leading firms and households to be cautious. Yeah, we've been suffering through a rough year of uncertainty. Uncertainty seems to let up and then come right back. So again, totally get that. So Bostic highlights uncertainty. Kashkari had several quotes. If the Fed drastically lowered rates, I would expect the economy to have a burst of inflation. Folks, this is very much Arthur Burns. Kashkari might as well be saying Arthur Burns did this, and we did not like the outcome. Number two, I am not convinced that a few rate cuts will translate to lower mortgage rates. Kashkari, you're absolutely right. The Fed has lowered their rate 1.25%, and mortgage rates went up each time you cut. So I think that is plainly, frankly, logical. It is too soon to know the impact on AI in the economy. I don't think that's actually very accurate. I think it is very clear that AI is going to drastically change the economy. Now, if you want to say something like it is too soon to know the net impact, I think that's probably a fairer or more accurate statement. If you are just talking about the impact, it is going to be significant. If you want to talk about the net impact, which is good minus bad, I think that is a fairer realization. And then finally, the data we are seeing today is sending stagflation signals. Folks, I warned President Powell, Fed President Powell, when was that? 9 months ago, when he said, and I quote, "I don't see the stag or the inflation." This is transitory all over again. So yes, stagflation signals are being sent in the data. And then there's Moran. Again, Moran is the Fed president who has a short tenure, basically filling in, and he is the most dovish. He wants cuts. He is saying private data is not sufficient to replace government data. Well, buddy, that's all you got. So get after it. Number two, this one I thought was important. Housing matters more to the economy than the equity market. Think about that. I don't know what the numbers are. I'm sure somebody out there could look this up for me. My guess is, 40% of America is exposed to stocks, 45%. And if you believe the stats about home ownership, 66% of us are exposed to real estate. So I have to agree with Fed President Moran. The housing market is more important to our economy than the equity market. That said, I don't really know what he does with that comment. Is that why he wants to lower rates? Does he not see the potential Arthur Burns reaction there? So again, pretty interesting. Let's give a shout out to school. School is something I hope to be known for, the thing I hope to be known for most as the years go by. I want to thank Ryan for joining. Remember, you're going to get a special treat on Sunday at 8:30 Pacific. I'm going to give my presentation with full slides and full stories, go through it slowly together. Inside school, I'm going to tell you, quite frankly, there are 3 steps to getting wealthy. You're going to see all the slides. We're going to have fun. We're going to talk. This is going to be my community, so we can go through and ask all the questions and all the details. So if you want to see this, great. If you want to invite your kids, you know what? If you are in my school community, I give you full permission. Go to the school community calendar. Inside the calendar, there is a Zoom link. I give all of you permission. Take that Zoom link and send it to anybody you want. I've never said this before. This presentation that I'm going to do on Sunday, I want as many people to see this as possible. I want it to be our community. So if you are one of the 500 members of school and you want to send it to your kids or your friends or your parents or whoever the heck you want to send it to, I give you full permission. Go to the calendar, copy the Zoom link, and send it out. Let's have hundreds and hundreds of people watch this. I think my Zoom account supports 1,000 people, so we should be good. So have fun with that. Full blessing. Send it to anybody you want. I guess the last thing to talk about is Redfin again. Home sales are for starter homes increased 3.8% year on year, and they are up 12 months in a row. I am trying to figure out what a starter home is. Like, what do they define a quote unquote starter home? But near as I can tell, it's just a cheap home. So I guess it's a price point is what they call a starter home, which I think, quite frankly, is a weak definition. It's not really anyways. I guess it's just that's in the data, but whatever. And then finally, folks, there are more and more people like Meredith Whitney saying the housing market is in a deep freeze. We are in a 25-year low of transactions, to which I say, welcome to the party, Meredith. We have been talking about the lowest level of transactions for years. Welcome to the party. Better late than never. But again, folks, we've got some big shots talking about what you and I have been talking about for the better part of 2 years or so. So, folks, at the end of the day, let's give a special shout out to Dion. He was the keynote speaker at Bigger Pockets, and he crushed it. He gave a very impassionate rendering of his story. He reminded all of us where he came from. He talked about the journey of getting to one, and then the next one he had pictures and great stories, made the audience laugh and cry and give him a standing ovation. He had the entire audience dancing to his drum or his beat, and he is a wonderful person for getting people so motivated and out of the parking lot and into the stands. It was fun to watch the man work and just own the stage and deliver. And then finally, I got a gift from Steadily I want to show. I want to thank the team at Steadily for, again, sponsoring the daily financial news. I had to pick up one of these mugs because, A, it's big and it's purple. You guys know the deal with purple, right? So, again, I want to thank the team at Steadily. Folks, if you're a landlord and you have insurance, which you absolutely need, always give Steadily a chance. See if they can help you. Today, insurance is crazy. It's going up for all of us, and you have to get additional quotes. You're the owner. You need to run the numbers, and sometimes they help, sometimes they don't, but at least you know. Link in the description. Again, thank you, team at Steadily, and have fun. And just so you know, Bigger Pockets 2026 will be in Orlando. That was the big surprise at the end of the event. So if you are on the East Coast, Bigger Pockets is coming to you next year in Orlando. All right, folks, take care. Have a great day. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye.